This video is made possible by my patrons on Patreon. Hello everyone, my name is Xiomaro and welcome back to Battlerite Royale. So last night we all had another chance to try out Battlerite Royale in the closed beta. Last week I was talking about how I went into the previous beta test with the wrong attitude. I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I went in expecting to play Battlerite, and it's just not Battlerite. I mean, sure, the champions are the same and even the kits are pretty similar in a lot of cases, but the actual flow of the game is just totally different. For example, it totally goes against my instincts to just run away from a fight, but it's important to know when to do it in Battlerite Royale. In other Battle Royale games, I know when to do it, but going into a Battlerite game, it felt weird, at least at first. So this time around, I tried to approach it as a game I've never really played before, and I have to say, I had a much better time. And honestly, the first time experience is much more important than what us veterans think. If we want Battlerite to grow, whether it's Arena or Royale, the new player experience needs to be good. And to be honest, I think it probably will be a good experience for new players. So, while I think the game is better than I initially gave it credit, there are some prominent balance issues that I think are worth talking about. So let's talk about balance in Battlerite Royale. And okay, you might be thinking, but Zio, Stunlock have already acknowledged that the balance isn't perfect. And my answer to you is, I know. And I already said that I trust Stunlock to get it right eventually. As I've said many times before, Stunlock are very good at balancing a game, so I have faith that they'll do it. However, I think it's worth starting a discussion about the balance of the game now. All of us have somewhat limited experience in the game so far, but maybe as a community we can piece together an accurate picture of the current balance. And hell, maybe it'll even make for some good feedback for SLS, so keep it constructive. So, in the opening of the video, I mentioned that you need to know when to disengage and leave a fight. So let's use that as a starting point. Mobility. So, the main feature a champion needs to effectively disengage is mobility. You can't run away if you can't run away. And although you'll eventually have to fight, being able to pick and choose your battles is a real boon. And in that regard, not all champions are made equal. Honestly, I could mention a few different champions who are okay at it, like Ashka or Bako. Both of them have decent mobility, and actually I would say they're two of the more balanced champions in Battlerite Royale. But why not start with the big dogs instead? Croak and Xander. My god, these guys are annoying. If they don't want to fight you, they're not going to fight you. They have so many ways of disengaging that you're just not going to kill them unless you catch them without cooldowns. And in a Battle Royale game with no sniper rifles, being able to escape is really strong. I'll just flat out say that I don't think Xander feels that strong outside of his mobility. In my 5 or 6 hours playing Battlerite Royale, I've never seen him in the final 5. I'm sure there are people out there who've done it, but it's rare. And the reason for that is he's just not that great in a duel. At least not compared to some of your other options. But if nothing else, you can survive longer than you should simply by outrunning them. Croak, on the other hand, has mobility that's comparable to Xander, but he can also hold his own in a duel. At least to me, Croak felt like the easiest choice if you just want to win. He's good early game, he's good late game. He can totally win duels, but if things start to go south, you can almost always disengage and just keep waiting to find a favourable fight. Eventually though, the circle is going to close in and you can't just hop around to escape. And while Croak is still good when the circle closes in, there are definitely some stronger options. So let's talk about the Brawlers. Okay, so now I'm going to mention a champion I almost always see in the final 5, Ulrich. And I'm sure you guys have had a similar experience here. Don't get me wrong, he has his weaknesses, namely he can't jump over walls, so his mobility is a little lacking. But he more than makes up for it with his brawling potential. Seriously, Ulrich just knocks the spots off almost anything else in a straight duel. He has decent non-vertical mobility, he has great range damage, he has a stun and condemn to buy himself time, he has his Q shield to block projectiles and blind people, and he has 3 abilities that heal. Admittedly, one of those only works in a duo, but still. His flat out damage isn't really anything to write home about, but between his CC, projectile shield, blind, and self-healing, he can outlast almost anyone in the hands of a skilled player. There are other champions with reasonable self-sustain like Thorn, but honestly, Ulrich just takes the cake when it comes to flat duels. Of course, the counter to him is to just run away if it's looking unlikely you'll win, especially if you can go through a wall. But if you're the last two alive, you're gonna need to outplay him pretty hard. Honestly, it feels like the heal needs to be removed from his R ability. It's already a shield, I don't really think it needs to heal as well, but hey, that's just my opinion. There are other decent brawlers like Raygon, Bako, and Rook, but seriously, Ulrich kinda steals the limelight in this category of champions right now. So let's move on to one final category of champions that I like to call the Swiss Army knives. So there are a few champions who are really strong in the right hands. These are the champions who just have an answer to everything. Ulrich definitely has it to an extent. He has a few self-heals, he has an iframe, he has a shield to block projectiles, he has hard CC, and he can do both melee and ranged damage. Okay, Ulrich can kind of do everything. But there are others who fall into this category too. The one that I was most impressed by was actually Jamila. Maybe when we have more high-level players playing her, she might become a problem, but I haven't come across enough good ones yet. Just like Ulrich, Jamila has self-healing, ranged and melee damage, plus a counter instead of his blinding shield. But what seems really strong about Jamila is her ability to chain CC someone. Her in-cap into R-stun is a really powerful combo in the Battle Royale setting. Honestly, if you can get the most out of her, she's a really strong contender to win games. Some other champions who have a lot of answers to different situations include Ashka, Alicia, and Bako. They all have projectile blocks, range damage, iframes, and CC. So at this point, you might be wondering why I've just been talking about different categories and not balance specifically. Essentially, the categories I'm talking about are mobility, brawling, and versatility. Where balance comes into the equation is when a champion isn't strong enough in one or more of these categories. You can afford to be weak in one of these categories, like Ulrich isn't particularly mobile, but if you're weak in more than one, you're gonna get outclassed. I mentioned before that Xander doesn't feel that strong. Well, it's because while he's top-notch in mobility, he's a kinda crappy brawler and he's not that versatile. He's just an all-out mobility champion. Croak, on the other hand, has comparable mobility, but he's also a decent brawler. Most importantly, he has a way to lock people down and guarantee damage on them. Xander's only CC is his sheep, and not only can it be hard to land the sheep in the first place, but even when you do sheep someone, they can still move and wall your burst. Pestilus also feels quite weak. His Mouse 2 ability is Great Burst in the arena, where you can easily heal yourself back up by having Moth active on a bunch of people. But in Battle Royale, sure, you're dealing 30 damage, but you're also taking 15, so it doesn't make for a very good trade. You're better off just using it to pop your queen so you don't take damage yourself. And in that regard, he has a similar issue to Xander. It feels like they're designed to stay alive, not designed to win. Fears, sheep, and crazy mobility might let you live to fight another fight, but eventually you'll be the last one alive and you just don't have the brawling potential of other champions. Maybe Pestilus and Xander are balanced for duos and changing their kit would unbalance things there, but in solo queue, they feel kinda meh. Now, don't get me wrong, this video is not to complain, far from it. I'd just like to draw attention to some champion balance issues and open up a discussion to give feedback. There are some other champions who I found underwhelming to play against, but I haven't played enough as them yet. Freya, Shifu, Jade, Ivor, and Destiny all felt like non-issues when I came up against them. But maybe I just haven't played against enough good ones yet. So listen, this video has probably gone on long enough, and actually I'm quite keen to hear what you guys think. In my experience, the most common champions to see in the final 5 were Croak, Ulrich, Raygon, Ashka, Alicia, Jamila, and Thorn. Varesh also seems pretty good to me, but he's a notoriously hard champion to play. So, tell me guys, who do you think needs toned down? Who do you think needs some love? And most importantly, what do you think needs tweaked to fix those things? I do still have doubts about the long-term viability of Battle Royale games in general, aside from Fortnite of course, but Battlerite Royale does have a lot of redeeming qualities, which I'd love to talk about at some point, but I'll leave that for another time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please feel free to subscribe for more gaming guides, news, and discussion. And don't forget to check out the links below to Discord, Patreon, and Twitch. Until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.